The revelation, the grand conclave of the Galactic Union, hummed with activity as representatives from over 300 sentient species gathered in the massive crystalline chamber. Hovering platforms carried delegates of various physiologies through the zero-gravity central space, while translation matrices ensured seamless communication across thousands of languages. At the heart of the chamber, the ruling council, comprised of the 12 oldest spacefaring civilizations, occupied an elevated platform of polished obsidian. Ambassador Kai Martinez of Earth stood at the observation deck, watching the proceedings with practiced calm. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Union 40 years ago, making them relative newcomers in a community where some species had been spacefaring for millennia. Despite their recent arrival, humans had expanded rapidly, colonizing 17 star systems in just 3 decades, a pace that had begun to alarm the established powers. "They fear what they don't understand," remarked Captain Ilara Chen, Martinez's military attaché. Her uniform bore the simple insignia of Earth's United Defense Force, deliberately understated compared to the ornate military displays of other species. Martinez nodded. "They see our expansion as aggression because that's what their history has taught them to expect." He adjusted the simple blue diplomatic sash that identified him as Earth's representative. "Today will change everything." The main chamber quieted as High Counselor Vexera of the Thraxian Empire rose from their seat. The ancient insectoid's carapace gleamed under the chamber lights, their compound eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "This emergency session addresses the concerning expansion of humanity throughout the Orion Spur." Vexera's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "Multiple members have expressed alarm at the pace of human colonization and their increasing military presence." Martinez had anticipated this. The timing was perfect. Ambassador Zolorax of the Centauri Consortium, a species of gaseous entities contained in mechanized suits, moved their platform forward. "Esteemed colleagues, we have documented evidence of humans establishing 17 colonies in just 30 standard cycles, 3 times faster than any recorded expansion in Union history." Murmurs spread through the chamber. "Furthermore," Zolorax continued, "their military vessels, while not the most advanced, have been produced at alarming rates. Our intelligence suggests nearly 700 warships constructed in the past decade alone." The Mrissi representative, a collective consciousness of aquatic creatures, joined in. "The humans claim these are defensive measures, yet they establish these forces at every new colony, pushing ever closer to territories of established members." Martinez caught Chen's eye and gave a slight nod. She discreetly activated her neural link. The ruling council members turned their attention to the human delegation. "Ambassador Martinez," Vexera addressed him directly, "you have heard these concerns. What say you on behalf of Earth?" Martinez stepped onto a hovering platform that carried him to the central speaking position. Unlike many representatives who relied on elaborate ceremonial attire or intimidating appearances, he presented a striking figure through simplicity. A tall human with copper skin, close-cropped silver hair, and eyes that reflected decades of diplomatic experience. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Union," Martinez began, his voice steady and resonant, "I thank you for bringing these concerns forward directly. Open dialogue has always been humanity's preferred approach." He paused, allowing the translation matrices to catch up. "Yes, humanity has expanded rapidly by your standards. Yes, we have built ships to protect our colonies, but there is context that I believe has been missing from this discussion." With a subtle gesture, he activated the chamber's holographic system. Above the assembly appeared a detailed map of human territory, 17 solar systems illuminated in blue. "This is our current sphere of influence," Martinez explained. "And these small red dots appeared throughout the systems. Our active military vessels, 712 ships, precisely as Ambassador Zolorax stated." The delegates studied the display. For most species present, this merely confirmed their concerns. However, Martinez continued, "There is something we have never had reason to reveal until today." He made another gesture, and the holographic display expanded dramatically. Around Earth's home system, thousands of new markers appeared, so many that they formed a dense cloud around Sol. The chamber fell silent. "This," Martinez said into the hushed space, "is our retired fleet." The statistics began scrolling alongside the display. 12,468 capital ships, 43,295 destroyers, 78,342 frigates, 104,739 support vessels, all maintained in massive orbital shipyards around Earth, Mars, and Jupiter. All functional, all ready for deployment. "Impossible," whispered the Centauri ambassador, the gas within their containment suits swirling in patterns of agitation. "I assure you, it is quite real," Martinez replied. "These vessels represent every era of human space warfare, dating back to our first interplanetary conflicts, before we achieved faster-than-light travel. Each generation of ships was preserved, upgraded, and maintained rather than decommissioned or scrapped." He zoomed in on different sections of the fleet. "These are the vessels from the Mars Independence War of 2134. These from the Belt Rebellions of 2197. These massive dreadnoughts from the Unification Conflict of 2245. The alien delegates watched in stunned silence as the presentation continued. Each retired vessel was larger and more heavily armed than anything currently deployed by humanity in their expansion efforts. But the Mrissi collective bubbled through their translator. "Our scans detected no such fleet." Martinez smiled gently. "Because we didn't want you to. The entire Sol system is encased in what we call a masking field, technology we developed during our internal conflicts. It doesn't prevent travel or communication, but it does obscure detailed scans. You see what we allow you to see." A ripple of alarm spread through the chamber. High Counselor Vexera's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Why reveal this now, Ambassador? Surely you understand this appears as a threat." "On the contrary," Martinez replied, "it is an assurance. Humanity has always understood that peace comes through strength that need not be demonstrated. These ships have remained dormant for generations, even as we expanded into new systems with minimal protection." He gestured toward the concerned ambassadors. "You've interpreted our restraint as weakness, or, worse, as deception ahead of aggression. Neither is true. We reveal this now because we want genuine understanding between our peoples." Ambassador Grell of the Volans, a species known for their strategic brilliance, moved forward. "The maintenance costs alone for such a fleet would be staggering. No civilization would preserve obsolete warships without purpose." Martinez nodded in acknowledgement. "You're absolutely right, Ambassador Grell. Which brings me to the second part of our revelation." With another gesture, the holographic display shifted to show various vessels in detail. Close-ups revealed technology that made even the most advanced Union engineers lean forward in fascination. "These aren't obsolete at all," Martinez explained. "Each vessel has been continuously upgraded with our latest advancements. Shield systems that regenerate during combat, weapons that manipulate gravitational fields, engines that can traverse vast distances through folded space." He pointed to specific examples. "Technology we've deliberately kept to ourselves, not out of malice, but out of caution. Humanity's history taught us that technological exchange must be measured and mutual." A low murmur spread through the chamber as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just revealing a massive fleet. They were revealing technological capabilities far beyond what they had shared with the Galactic Union. "For 40 years, Martinez continued, we've watched and learned. We've seen how the Union operates, how disputes are settled, how power is balanced. We've deliberately maintained a minimal defensive posture to avoid alarming our neighbors, while we assessed whether this community of species was one we could truly join as equals." High Counselor Vexera's compound eyes fixed on Martinez. "And what have you concluded, Ambassador?" Martinez smiled. "That the time for caution has passed. That despite the concerns raised today, The Galactic Union represents the greatest hope for lasting peace among the stars, that humanity is ready to take its place, not as a newcomer to be watched with suspicion, but as a full partner in this grand endeavor. He swept his hand across the display, and the image of the fleet disappeared, replaced by technical schematics for various technologies. We offer these as a gesture of good faith. Shield harmonics that could protect vulnerable colonies from stellar radiation. Medical nanites that can extend lifespans across multiple species. Atmospheric processors that could make dozens of currently uninhabitable worlds viable for settlement. The chamber erupted in excited chatter as the delegates studied the offerings. Technologies that could transform life throughout the Union, freely given. But Martins raised his voice slightly, instantly regaining attention. We also want complete clarity. Humanity comes to this table strong, not weak. We offer partnership, not submission. The retired fleet will remain exactly that, retired, unless we find ourselves forced to do otherwise. He looked around the chamber, meeting the gaze of each major delegate. We've seen enough conflict among ourselves to last 1,000 lifetimes. We have no desire for galactic conquest. But neither will we be conquered, controlled, or constrained beyond the fair provisions of Union law. For several moments, the chamber remained silent as the delegates processed this new reality. Then, slowly, Ambassador Grell of the Volans moved forward again. I have lived for 700 years, the ancient strategist said, their translucent skin shifting through patterns of deep thought. In that time, I have seen 11 species join the Union. Some came humbly, hiding their strengths until they could seize advantage. Others came arrogantly, displaying power they did not truly possess. The Volans' eyes, all 17 of them, focused on Martinez. Never have I seen a species reveal strength precisely when they need not use it. This is new, perhaps promising. One by one, other delegates expressed similar sentiments. What had begun as an accusatory session transformed into something unexpected. A reappraisal, the beginning of genuine respect. As the formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Martinez returned to the observation deck where Captain Chen waited. That went better than expected, Chen remarked quietly. Martinez watched the delegates departing, deep in discussion about what they had witnessed. Phase 1 complete. Now we see if they're ready for Phase 2. And if they're not? Chen asked. Martinez's expression grew somber. Then we've revealed our strength just in time. Because what's coming from beyond the rim won't care about diplomatic niceties. He turned from the window, activating his secure communicator. Martins to Earth Command. The seed is planted. Proceed with Operation Lighthouse. In the vast darkness between galaxies, something ancient stirred, sensing the growing light of civilization. Humanity had revealed one secret today, but kept a far greater one still hidden. The real reason they had preserved their ships, developed their technologies, and sought allies among the stars. The true test was still to come. Consequences and cooperation. The revelation of humanity's true military might send shockwaves through the Galactic Union. Within days, news had spread to every corner of settled space, transmitted through quantum relays and carried by courier ships to the most distant colonies. Speculation ran rampant about what this would mean for the balance of power that had stabilized interstellar politics for millennia. In the diplomatic quarter of Nexus Station, the massive artificial habitat that served as the Union's administrative center, Ambassador Kai Martinez found himself suddenly in high demand. Species that had previously dismissed human representatives now sought private audiences. Trade delegations that had driven hard bargains suddenly discovered flexibility in their positions. Military attaches from a dozen powerful civilizations requested technical exchanges. Fascinating how quickly perception shapes reality. Martins remarked to Captain Chen as they reviewed the day's schedule in the Earth Embassy's secure conference room. Nothing about us has changed, yet everything has changed. Chen nodded, scrolling through security reports on her neural interface. Not everyone is reacting positively. The Krell Dominion has doubled patrols along their border with our Ta City colony. The Mrissi Collective has suspended 3 joint research projects without explanation. Expected, Martins replied. Fear manifests differently across species. Some seek alliance with what they perceive as strength. Others prepare to defend against it. He paused, studying the diplomatic communiqué. What matters is how the major powers respond. Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent alert. Chen's expression darkened as she processed the incoming data. Sir, we have a situation. New Eden Colony has detected multiple unidentified vessels entering the system. They're not responding to hails. Martinez's calm demeanor never wavered, though his eyes hardened. New Eden is one of our most remote colonies, barely 5,000 settlers. Yes, sir. Defense capabilities are minimal, standard orbital platforms only. Martinez was silent for a moment, weighing options and implications. New Eden's location placed it outside established Union trade routes, far from immediate assistance. The timing was too convenient to be coincidence. Someone's testing us, he concluded, seeing if our revelation was truth or bluff. He activated his secure channel. Martins to Earth Command. Authorization Prometheus. Deploy Sentinel Group to New Eden. Immediate response. The acknowledgement came instantly. Earth Command confirms. Sentinel Group deploying. ETA 17 hours. Martinez turned to Chen. Inform the Union Security Council. Request emergency session. 20 light years from Nexus Station, the peaceful agricultural colony of New Eden faced an existential threat. 7 warships of unknown design had entered the system, bypassing the early warning network and positioning themselves in high orbit. Their hulls absorbed scanning attempts, revealing nothing of their origins or intentions. Colony Governor Asha Okafor had ordered all settlements into emergency shelters, habitat domes buried beneath the fertile soil that had attracted settlers in the first place. From her underground command center, she maintained contact with Earth. They've deployed some kind of dampening field, she reported. Our defense platforms are non-responsive. Communications are degrading. The face of Fleet Admiral Hirano appeared on her secure channel. Governor, we have assets en route. 17 hours to arrival. Can you hold? Okafor's expression was grim. The orbital platforms were our primary defense. Without them, she left the implication hanging. Understood. Maintain shelter protocols. Help is coming. The Admiral's connection terminated as the dampening field strengthened. In orbit, the mysterious vessels began their descent into New Eden's atmosphere. Their intent seemed clear. This would not be a negotiation. Aboard the Union Security Council station, representatives from the 12 most powerful civilizations gathered for the emergency session. The normally orderly proceedings had devolved into heated debate. Convenient timing. Accused Ambassador Zolorax of the Centauri Consortium. The humans reveal a mighty fleet, and suddenly one of their colonies faces attack from unidentified aggressors. High Counselor Vexera maintained order with difficulty. Ambassador Martinez, what evidence can you provide regarding these attackers? Martinez stood at the center of the chamber. The attack is ongoing. Communication with New Eden is limited due to enemy jamming technology. What we know is that 7 vessels of advanced design have neutralized our defensive systems and are preparing ground operations. And your response? Inquired Ambassador Grill of the Volans. We have dispatched a response force. They will reach New Eden in approximately 16 hours. Zolorax's containment suit rippled with skepticism. 16 hours. Your nearest military assets are that far from a vulnerable colony. Or perhaps this is theater, a manufactured crisis to justify militarization of that region. Before Martinez could respond, the chamber's main display activated, showing a priority transmission. Admiral Hirano appeared, his expression grave. Counselors, we have confirmed visuals from New Eden. The display shifted to orbital footage of the attacking vessels. Their design was unlike anything in Union records. Asymmetrical constructions of dark material that seemed to absorb light. As the Council watched in silence, the ships deployed smaller craft toward the planet's surface. "We've enhanced the resolution," Hirano continued. "The surface teams appear to be using harvester technology consistent with resource extraction. They're not just attacking the colony, they're mining it while it's inhabited." The implications silenced even the most skeptical council members. Resource extraction during active occupation was considered among the gravest violations of sentient rights under Union law. Martinez addressed the council, his voice steady. "Earth has authorized deployment of elements from our retired fleet. The Sentinel Group is en route, 5 vessels from our third-generation defensive force. For the first time, the Council would witness humanity's true military capabilities in action." 14 hours into the crisis, when all hope seemed lost for New Eden colony, reality tore open at the system's edge. Governor Okafor, huddled with frightened colonists in the primary shelter dome, watched through the remaining functional satellite feed as 5 massive vessels emerged from what her displays identified as dimensional fold transit, technology far beyond anything humanity had previously revealed to the Union. The ships were unlike the sleek, utilitarian vessels of Earth's active fleet. These were battle-scarred leviathans, their hulls marked with the history of conflicts long past. Designation markers identify them as EUDF Thermopylae, Salamis, Trafalgar, Normandy, and Incheon, names from Earth's ancient military history. "My God," whispered Okafor. "They sent the old guard." In orbit, the mysterious attackers immediately broke their atmospheric approach, reorienting toward the new threat. Their response was swift. Energy weapons flaring across the void. But the human vessels made no attempt to evade. The attack struck the lead ship, the Thermopylae, dead center. For a brief moment, the energy splash illuminated what appeared to be a multilayered defense system, unlike anything in current Union technology. The blast dissipated harmlessly, absorbed into the ship's hull matrix. There was a pause, as if both sides were reassessing. Then the human vessels responded. The Thermopylae extended massive vanes from its lateral hull sections, technology that had been theoretical in most Union research. The space around the vessel distorted visibly as gravitational fields were manipulated with precision. 2 of the attacking ships, caught in the manipulation, were compressed with terrifying force, their hulls buckling before they detonated into superheated debris. The Salamis and Trafalgar deployed what colonial sensors identified as phase-shifted projectiles, solid munitions that apparently shifted partially out of normal spacetime during transit, bypassing conventional defensive measures. They struck 3 more enemy vessels simultaneously, penetrating their hulls before rematerializing inside. The results were catastrophic. The remaining 2 attackers attempted to retreat, activating drive systems of unfamiliar design. They never completed their escape. The Normandy and Incheon projected coordinated energy fields that enveloped the fleeing ships, canceling their drive signatures and holding them immobile in space. The entire engagement had lasted less than 3 minutes. On Nexus Station, the Security Council watched the battle in stunned silence. What they had just witnessed represented military technology centuries beyond what most Union species possessed. "The captives are secure," Admiral Hirano reported. "Preliminary analysis suggests they are not affiliated with any known Union species. We're still working to establish communication." Ambassador Zalorax's dismissive tone had vanished. These technologies, the gravitational manipulation alone, would revolutionize a dozen industries. "Indeed," Martinez agreed. "Technologies we developed centuries ago, during what we call the unification conflicts, when humanity nearly destroyed itself fighting over resources and ideology." Ambassador Grell studied Martinez with newfound respect. "You've maintained these capabilities all this time, yet showed remarkable restraint in your expansion. Why?" Martinez looked around the chamber, meeting each delegate's gaze before responding. "Because we learned, through bitter experience, where unchecked military development leads. Because we understand that true security comes not from domination, but from stable cooperation." He activated a secure data stream. What I'm about to share is classified at the highest level of Earth governance. With the President's authorization, I'm now releasing it to the Council. The chamber's holographic display shifted to show astronomical data, readings from deep space monitoring stations positioned throughout human territory. The data showed energy signatures from beyond the galactic rim, patterns too regular to be natural. For the past 80 years, since before we achieved faster-than-light travel, we've detected these signals. They'd been growing stronger, more organized. Our analysts believe they represent a directed expansion toward our galaxy. The Council chamber erupted in urgent discussion as the implications became clear. High Counselor Vexera raised all four limbs for silence. You believe there is an extragalactic threat approaching. Why have you not shared this before? Would you have believed us? Martins asked simply. A newcomer species claiming to detect a threat that your own sensors hadn't confirmed. We needed to establish credibility first. More importantly, we needed to assess whether the Union would be a reliable partner in facing what's coming. Ambassador Grill's skin shifted to deep indigo, a sign of profound consideration in Volon physiology. The retired fleet, it was never about internal conflicts at all, was it? Our conflicts were real, Martins clarified. The technologies were developed as we described. But yes, the preservation of our military capacity was directly influenced by what we detected from beyond the rim. Humanity united not just to end our own conflicts, but to prepare for something greater. The attack on New Eden had been successfully repelled, but it had revealed far more than humanity's military capability. It had exposed the true reason behind Earth's careful, measured integration into the galactic community. 3 months after the New Eden incident, the Grand Conclave reconvened in full session. The mysterious attackers had been identified as automated resource acquisition units, advanced elements of what appeared to be a vast mechanical civilization, slowly expanding from the Andromeda galaxy. Analysis of their technology suggested capabilities that would have overwhelmed standard Union defenses. Ambassador Martinez stood before the assembled delegates, no longer as an outsider, but as the head of the newly formed Joint Defense Commission. The Treaty of New Eden marks a new chapter in Union history, he declared. For the first time, all member species have committed to a unified defense protocol, technology sharing initiative, and early warning network. Across the chamber, representatives from hundreds of worlds listened intently. The revelation of humanity's hidden strength had not led to fear or subjugation as some had predicted, but to something unprecedented, genuine cooperation based on mutual respect. Earth has begun decommissioning our retired fleet, Martins continued, not to disarm, but to distribute. 100 of our most advanced vessels have already been transferred to Union Joint Command, with crews composed of multiple species working together. Another 500 will follow within the year. He gestured to the holographic display, showing the first graduating class of the Union Defense Academy, officers from dozens of species training together on Earth's moon. What happened at New Eden was merely the first contact with what our analysts now call the Harvester Collective. Their resource acquisition strategy suggests they don't recognize or value sentient life different from their own. Based on signal propagation, we estimate full contact within 20 years. Rather than panic, the chamber responded with determined resolve. The Union, which had maintained peace through careful balance and limited cooperation for millennia, was transforming into something stronger, a true alliance. As the session concluded, Martinez found himself approached by Ambassador Grell, whose strategic brilliance was now focused on coordinating the Union's defensive preparations. You could have conquered us, the Volon observed quietly. With the technologies you possessed, few could have stood against you. Martinez smiled. That's where you're wrong, Ambassador. Humanity tried conquest among ourselves. It never lasts. What endures is partnership, different strengths combining toward common purpose. He gazed out at the assembled delegates, representatives of civilizations whose combined history spanned millions of years. Besides, we need each other. What's coming doesn't care about our political divisions or territorial disputes. It sees resources to harvest, nothing more. Grill's multifaceted eyes studied the human with curiosity. You revealed your strength not to intimidate, but to prepare us all for a greater threat. Few species would show such perspective. We had good teachers, Martins replied. Our own history is full of moments when revealing strength led to peace rather than conflict, when coming to the table as equals allowed for genuine cooperation. As they parted ways, Martinez received a priority communication from Earth. The Deep Space Monitoring Network had detected new signatures. The Harvester Collective was accelerating its approach. But this time, humanity wouldn't face the darkness alone. Because sometimes, the greatest victory isn't defeating an enemy, but finding allies strong enough to stand beside you. And sometimes, revealing your true strength isn't about domination, but about building something that can endure whatever challenges lie ahead. In the shipyards orbiting Mars, vessels that had been preserved for centuries were being refitted with integrated technologies from a dozen worlds. Weapons of war were being transformed into shields of civilization. The retired fleet, symbol of humanity's cautious independence, was becoming the foundation of something greater, a unified force prepared to defend all sentient life, regardless of origin. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity.